Welcome back to another video here, and today we will be doing our first episode of the Bloons strategy crash course. And today we will be working on and learning the most basic strategy, Tack Farm Wizard. So let's look at the upgrades first, because it's always important to know what the upgrades are for a tower. So the tier 1s are faster shooting, which increases the attack speed. There's also extra range, which just increases the range. It doesn't increase the pierce like some other game modes. Not game modes, games. It does. Then there is even faster shooting and super range, which is just the same thing as its tier 1s. It just is applied again, I guess. And then tier 3 is Tack Sprayer, which is where you start to see actually different upgrades, I would say. And it adds 8 more tacks per volley, so you're basically doubling the damage output. And it also increases the attack speed by a little bit. However, it still only has 1 pierce. And the bottom path for tier 3, Blade Shooter, it's still only 6. I mean, is it 6 or 8? I guess 8. 8 blades, but it has more pierce. So typically you want to use it for group popping power. And Tack Sprayer is better for Moab popping power. And here we have tier 4s. Ring of Fire is very useful for group Bloons, even more so than Blade Shooter, as it basically has infinite pierce. Not infinite, I think, but it's very high. And it has a pretty fast attack speed. And it also has lead detection. And then Blade Maelstrom is an ability. It has infinite pierce, and it sprays tacks all over the map for a couple seconds, like 16 or something. Although the main attack is still the Blade Shooter. So that is the basics for the Tack Shooter right there. It doesn't have camo detection. That's something to keep in mind. So you usually want to pair it with the Monkey Apprentice, also known as the Wizard, where its tier 1 is called Intense Magic, which allows it to shoot larger and more powerful magic bolts. And then its other tier 1 ability, or upgrade, is Fireball. The apprentice adds a powerful attack to its arsenal. So these upgrades are pretty useful. I'm pretty sure Intense Magic also allows it to have faster projectile speed, and it allows it to hit more hit more Bloons at once. And Fireball is an explosion, basically, that can do a decent amount of damage to group Bloons. So both of them are pretty useful to have. And here we have tier 2s. We have Lightning Bolt, which unleashes an attack, a new attack, that spreads across the map, going towards the top right of it. And it does 1 damage, however it can hit multiple Bloons. And then Monkey Sense allows it to hit camo. For tier 3s, we have Summon Whirlwind, which blows back Bloons, and this was kind of nerfed recently, so it's not as good as it used to be. And here we also have Dragon's Breath, which unleashes another attack, which allows it to do damage with Rapid Dragon's Breath Fire, which is 1 damage, but it shoots very fast. And for tier 4, on the top path, we have Tempest Tornado, which increases the damage and the blowback and the projectile speed of Summon Whirlwind. So it's just basically an upgraded version. And then we also have Summon Phoenix, which the main attack is still the same as Dragon's Breath. However, it unlocks a Phoenix ability that summons and has extra Moab damage, and also full map range, pretty much. So it's basically a temporary UCAV from BTD6, if you're used to that, or even Bloons battles too, not powers. And typically you also want to run farms, banana farms here. For tier 1, you get more bananas, which grows 3 big bunches of bananas. One banana is $60, so that's already going to be 5 bananas per round, because you already start out with 2 bananas per round at base level. Long life bananas increases the duration of bananas before they expire to 25 seconds from 15. This is primarily useful if you are at the lower levels and do not have enough medallions to get monkey farmers. For tier 2, we have banana plantation, which increases the amount of bananas grown to 7 per round. And valuable bananas is increasing the worth of each banana by 50%. So that's pretty useful for higher tier farms. And for tier 3, we get Banana Republic, which generates 15 big bunches of bananas every round, which is pretty useful for if you're trying to save up for a banana research facility or you don't have enough money to go for any of the better cross paths. Monkey Bank generates stored cash that earns 10% each round and holds up to $5,000. For a long time, this upgrade was pretty worthless in the eyes of many. However, in recent years, it's taken a resurgence as a proper stepping stool to BIA, the tier 4. For our first tier 4, we have Banana Research Facility, which produces 6 boxes of bananas every round. Each crate is $600 without the 4 valuable bananas, which would increase it to $900 per crate. And Banana Investments Advisory, also known as BIA, holds up to $20,000 at 20% interest each round. So it's basically just a way better monkey bank. Okay, so we've basically gone over all of the Tack farm wizard things right there. And let's see. I think going into CC here is probably the most that I can help you guys with. I could play Moa Pit, but I think that would be at the expense of the video because I wouldn't be able to properly explain a lot of the ideas and concepts effectively if I'm too focused on that. Okay. Let's see. Hopefully we find an opponent here. We get our first opponent, Dragon Beast. Hopefully we get a decent land map. A game. This isn't the greatest Tack map. Of course you can try and be focused with your wizard here, but I'm gonna skip it. Cards. Okay, this is fine. It doesn't... Oh, okay, okay, I guess. That's kind of sad I didn't get to play them. But if we had cards there, I was still gonna run Tack Farm Wizard. As in these lower arenas, the main thing that you're going to have to worry about is mainly the map. Because if you have a strategy prepared and you want to practice, then it's going to be a bit annoying if you can't really get that map and you play like a strategy that you haven't improved at. However, that's what the series is for me to teach you guys. Okay, so here our main idea is going to be farming early game. Wizard is for mid game, and this Tack shooter is going to be for late game. Not late game, early game. And banana farms just help out all around, and they give us money. That's why we're going to start out with it. However, our opponent is anti-stalling, so that's okay. Do I start with attack here? I'm more inclined to put my attack here, as it gets in this bend, and you usually want your attack shooter in bends, so you can hit more of the attacks at once. I'm going for this. 2-2 is fine, because I'm aiming for blade shooter. However, typically you probably just need a 1, no, not 1, 2-0. Because typically you don't need that blade shooter so early on. But this is not that good of a map for it because some of the attack spots are kind of awkward. So I'm just going to be continuing farming here. I am leaking a couple lives, but that's not the biggest concern of me. Biggest concern here. Of course, it's going to be a problem if I keep leaking too much, but below 50 lives is where I'm going to start getting concerned. Right now, I'm just using those lives to greed. So, our opponent just sent Panks round 4. It's round 5 now. He's preparing for round 6, which he might be wearing greens. So, it might be time to use our Fireball, which is our group explosive damage. So, we don't have to keep building up attack shooters in awkward spots. Our opponent is not playing the best, but that's okay. So our opponent is sending greens here. I'm just going to go for a Fireball on Strong. This is going to hopefully help out against these group Bloons and take them down a layer so it's easier for our blade shooter to clean up. And that's kind of the main idea, where you have your Dragon's Breath or Fireball or Lightning or whatever it is. Break down the higher levels of Bloons, and your attack shooter is there to clean up. Like if you send a BFB, or if they send a BFB, I'm going to use the Dragon's Breath or Phoenix to break down that Moab layer, and then defend the insides with Maelstrom. If that's good. One drawback of the strategy is the lack of consistent camo damage, I would say. There is Dragon's Breath and stuff, which is really good and nice to defend. But you're going to struggle a bit if you don't prepare and have fast enough micro to defend camo all-outs, because that's always a concern. Our opponent is playing not that well. They don't have any web detection or camo detection. So I'm just going to send this one more time, see what he does. For camo, we can just buy our monkey sense again. Okay, so they have a sniper. That's good to know. I could all out them here, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to play a bit passively this game. Maybe we get an all out. If that's the case, I'm going to go for a Dragon's Breath and sell some of these farms for more. I probably need 1 or 2 2 or 3 Dragon's Breath, not 1 or 2. I'll go for a Lightning though. And it's probably time to make use of our farms and go for a BAA. I'm gonna wait till the end of the round so I get the most money out of my plantation, and then I can also get the eco that comes from the BAA. Because BAA and Bank both give eco at the end of the round. I don't know if that was in the description. I don't think it was. But BAA gives 80 eco per round, and Bank gives 30 eco per round. So it's always good to just get a BAA or a Bank if you're capable, as it's going to be passive and consistent income with your eco and the money that automatically generates. They barely sent any Bloons, and we're already at 500 eco, which is probably similar to what our opponent has so far. We're going to farm here. It's kind of unfortunate that our opponent isn't being super aggressive with the rushes, so I can't really demonstrate how to properly defend with like wizards or tack shooters. So we're going to keep farming here. I'm planning to send Moab maybe next round when I have enough money. Or maybe even this round, but we'll see. And I'll wait till the end round ends, as it'll be better to layer with the AI than layer with nothing. And layering is when you have balloons underneath a targeted balloon. Like if there was a ceramic and you sent pings over the top, and the opponent's towers would probably get pierce capped by the pings instead of trying to damage the ceramics. If that makes sense. What if I send... Okay, I was going to send a destroy. Trying to encourage them to send me something. I know I mentioned Tack sprayers being good for mob defense. However, we're not really getting anything sent to us. We have 15,000, so we're going to start going for a banana research facility. Oh, okay. So, for Moabs, you can actually just defend with Maelstrom like this. You see? Although it has to be in a bend. If your Maelstrom was like in the center here, it would not be good. That would be way too unconcentrated. You want all of the blade shooters blades to hit at once. Otherwise, it's going to be disastrous. You're going to most likely be left with 4 ceramics instead of it already cleaning up the ceramics. Okay, let's go for our research facility. It's also called Factory, which is its short-term name, I would say. Okay, I'm going to use my Blade Shooter ability, and then I'm going to go for a Ring of Fire. As we mentioned before, this is good for cleanup, especially against like AI Bloons, which is incoming Bloons. It's not that great against ceramics, so that's why I'm setting my wizards to strong, so they can pop down the layers of the ceramics, and the cleanup is very easy with the rainbows and stuff for the Ring of Fire. Okay, I'm gonna start sending ZMGs soon after I get 2 factories. Probably start on around 24. And this is just so I can get into another game pretty swiftly. Okay. Because I feel like this video has already gone for quite a while. Don't be scared about the eco loss from sending these balloons over here, the big ones, as they will be much more deadly on the opponent, especially since you can get your eco back. Even if you have these farms, it's not that big of a concern. There we go. And you can see here the Ring of Fire is just cleaning up everything. Okay, let's send a ZMG now. We do lose 400 eco. However, we're making enough money from the factories that we don't really care. Because each crate is worth $900. But we lose 400 per second. Not second. 6 seconds. Because that's how long an eco burst is. I think our opponent's going to rush here. Oh, let's not die. They go for a... I can't tell. Okay, so they sent a BFB here. I'm going to defend with a Phoenix. A Phoenix and prepare some Maelstroms in the back. Let's see. 1, 2. 1, 2. Okay. And that was pretty easy. Although you won't usually have this much defense for around 20 when they do send a Moab. BFB, not Moab. But that's just the general idea. Defending with a Phoenix and defending with Maelstrom to clean up. And that's right there a game of constant... Not constant, just... Yeah, I guess you could say constant concepts from games. Farming, defending with the wizard to break down stuff like ceramics or Moabs, and then using the tack shooter to clean up the insides like rainbows or even Moabs. And our opponent here is disconnecting. I'm just gonna quit because okay. I didn't get it in time. I was gonna quit because I didn't want to wait, but I was too busy yapping. Okay. Let's get into our next game here. How long has this video been? 20 minutes, not that bad. My dog is barking. Stop that. I'll hop into a Moab pit. Maybe we'll get more active gameplay here. Hopefully. The higher arenas are going to be more aggressive than the lower arenas, but it's good to take advice from those players, I would say, as you can apply some of their knowledge into your own gameplay. So an example would be rushing. Rushing is not that skilled in the lower arenas. Typically, it is full of just spamming rainbows. And our opponent here doesn't seem the greatest, but he seems competent enough. And we get a good map. We get the same map 3 times in a row. That's kind of crazy. But I guess we're going to run it again. I don't really want to risk it, because there is a potential that we get a boat map, and I'm not covering boat this episode. This will probably be our last. Oh, okay. This will probably be our last game here. I'm going to skip Concrete Alley. I guess it is a valid map, but it's not a good map. Okay, Waddle is also a pretty competent map for Tack Wizard. It's not valid, I would say, at the top levels. However, it's pretty valid for like Ceramic, Crucible, and below. And even Moab Pit, you can pull it off. But yeah. Actually, typically you want to anti-stall by spiking round 1, so the opponent can't get enough money. Okay, our opponent is pulling off of a weird boat strategy here. I wouldn't recommend it. Okay. Are they going to be ecoing? No. Actually, I shouldn't be rushing. I know I'm trying to force a grape shot. However, it's not really worth it here right now. I could force it maybe round 3. And let's see. Okay, I'm going to start sending some red balloons here, because I want to start forcing their upgrades. If we can get them to spend money, that is great, because we don't actually last that good late game. So if we can hinder their development by sending balloons and stuff, that is very nice. And that's kind of the main idea of aggressive strategies like this one. Just trying to drain the opponent by rushing them and being aggressive. They bought a banana plantation, which is very, very greedy. But I guess it's fine because he has boat. Boat is one of those towers that is very nice to have and greed with. Although they are going to leak a couple lives here. It's nothing too substantial. Let's spike, just so I can get my blade shooter up. Even then, it's not really that good because of the attack speed. So I'm going to do this, actually. Double attacks. And hopefully this defends for a while. Until I'm able to afford a blade shooter. There we go. I don't know, but I don't... Does it have a faster attack speed than normal? I can't tell. But that's okay. We would have needed the second attack here anyway for black balloons, because a single blade shooter can't handle on this map. While it is a good bend, it is not reliable enough, I would say. Okay. We are leaking quite a lot, which is kind of sad, but that's okay. This is kind of the benefit of playing in a higher arena to educate you guys, because you guys get to see what it's like if the opponent rushes you and you don't do enough to defend. So I don't have any spikes left, just something to be a bit worried about. If he sends yellows, we can boost. He just went for his farm. That's something that you guys have to keep an eye out for. You need to focus on your side while also being knowledgeable of the opponent's side. Because if all you do is just farm, then you're going to get destroyed by your opponent most of the time. Because they could be saving up a massive rush, and then if they do rush, you're going to have to slow that and defend. Now, our opponent here is very greedy. They just went for that farm without any decent defense, I would say. So we're going to punish them for that. Let's go for our lead defense, which are those metal balloons where they have the special property of not being able to be hit by normal attacks like tacks or darts unless they have some benefit like MIB. And Wizard, with its magic, does count as one of the special attacks that can hit it, the lead balloon. It's kind of like camo balloons, where you need camo detection to be able to pop it. He's running boat for mortar, which is a strategy that I will cover in another episode. But this is a just generic start, I would say, because Tack Farm Wizard is a pretty basic strategy that most players learn as their first strategy, actually, at the higher levels. It's a bit short there, but it's okay. I don't even have a lightning wizard. Lightning is usually forced by like round 12 or something. However, our opponent here is very passive, I would say, which we're probably going to use to our advantage, although they have a decent amount of money. Round 15 or 16, when we have enough money, we're going to start being aggressive. Okay, they're probably going to send ceramics. Yep, camos. We're fine. I had to cash out there, but that's okay. I'm going to force them to cash out, because I think they did already for that rush, because it wasn't that big, but it was pretty expensive. Okay, I think they're dead. Okay, they cashed out, and they're still dead. So there I layered. I sent leads, grouped leads, then grouped regrow leads, which is kind of expensive, but it did the job. Then I also sent zebras over the top with whites behind, and that creates a massive rush there. And before I'm going to end this video, I'm going to hop into Sandbox just to show you guys some of the potential maps that you can run this on. So Inlets, it is not that good of a farm map. However, that is kind of beneficial to you. You can use this if you want on inlets, I would say. And the same goes for coast to coast. There is farm spots. However, it is not the greatest for land towers because of the awkward way the map is shaped. Wizard Keep is also viable. There's 4 farm spots again, but it's more land dependent, as you can put towers on the side of the map, and tack shooters get multiple lanes to hit at once, so that's very nice. I would not use it on Super Monkey Lane, and this is because of the tack shooter. You're not gonna get good bends for the tack shooter here. Of course, you can maybe get 4 or 5 tacks to hit, but even then, it's not going to be consistent with most balloons, depending on their speed. And you're going to be investing a lot of money into your wizards early game, which is not generally something that you want to see, especially since you're going to be focusing on farms. Waddle, like you just saw, can be a bit tricky if you are inexperienced for Tack Farm Wiz, because of the bends being so far back or so far forward that it's just a very awkward map. It's possible, especially at the low arenas. I would recommend it. However, as you get higher into Moai Pit or BFP Coliseum or even ZMG, I do not recommend it, and I recommend picking up another strategy like at Ninja Farm NG, NG Farm Spike Factory, Dart Farm Ace, Dart Farm Super, or even Heli Farm Ice. Area 52. This map has great bends, especially against Scent Path, where it goes through that loop. And then the Wizard is also very nice on this map. So I think it's a good addition to your repertoire. Roadblock. This map is super long, and the bends are actually not that bad. You can put it in those like corners in the middle, left, and even at the bottom. Your Dragon's Breath is definitely going to carry you mid-game, but it's not a bad thing to do. Riverside is awkward because it's pretty much missing the entire middle of the map, but it is viable, and there's a decent amount of farm space, so I would say it's fine. Space Station. This is good if you do not have any concrete defenses for Space Station. It's definitely going to be one of those games where you're going to be very defensive and anxious if your opponent is competent and wants to rush you. However, if they're passive, it is going to be a pretty good strategy to just bunker down and save up for big rushes against your opponent. Mountain Pass, I would say there's better strategies, especially since, well, actually, no, there isn't really many good strategies on this map, so this is one of the better ones, actually. I changed my mind. I do recommend on this map if you do not have better things. Industrial Zone, no thank you. There's not really any good bends, and the Wizard itself is kind of awkward on this map, so no. Frozen River, yes. This map is kind of awkward, however, that first and second and third bend are always very welcome for us, and the Wizard gets a decent amount of map coverage. Shallow River, no thank you. The Tack shooter basically has nowhere to go. Moon Landing is amazing for Tack Farm Wizard. The only drawback is the map is extremely long, and other strategies do outperform it, but it is very potent at the lower levels. Shapes, same thing as Moon Landing. It's good. There are better strategies though, just beware. Pinball, I would say the same thing. The center is very nice to have your Tack Wiz, Tack, and then you could put your Wizard on the side of like the ended side, if that makes sense. And that can help break down ceramic layers. Treasure Map, obviously not enough farm spots. Glacier Melt, too short, not enough farm. You can go on this map. There's a decent amount of bends and enough space to farm and enough Wizard spots, I would say. Shipyard, yes, same idea as Mountain Pass. However, it's going to be very tricky because of it being a double way map. Marsh, you can go, but it's going to be outperformed by better strategies like Eco or Bolt Farm Mortar. In Ruins, I would say yes. It's going to be tricky though because it's a double path map, and then you're also going to encounter better late game strategies. Dungeon, this map is so long, and it's also doubled path, so you're not going to get much use out of just a single Tack shooter. Of course, run it if it's the only strategy that you know, but it's got major drawbacks there. Soaked It Not is such an awkward map, but I say it's decent. Same thing for this. Awkward, but it's fine. Off-piste? Definitely not. We're going to cover better strategies for this map in the future. Sprinkler? Yes. Good bends, good Wizard coverage, and good enough farms. Same for Baggage. It's going to be awkward because of the bends being so wide, but they're fine. You will live, mostly. Hopefully. Rift is the same idea. The bends are very sharp, actually, which is what we like to see. But it's a short map, so you're going to get a decent amount of coverage for the Wizard with those like zigzags in the middle. But just be wary of boon boosted rushes because those are going to go by very fast. Mayan Temple, I would say, is fine because of that box in the center, on the top right and left, as those can be very good for your wizards and fireballs. I mean, tack shooters and fireballs. Leaky pipes. This map is hell. But yeah, I'm just gonna say skip it if you're able, and don't play Tack Wiz on this map. Cards, it's viable, like you've just seen. I played 2 games and won. But I don't think it's the best. It's one of your, I can play it and I don't have much else to do, I guess. Like, if you have NFP like Waddle, there are better strategies. Racetrack is fine, good bends, pretty long though, and it's doubled path, but this is one of the cases where the bends make up for the length, so you can hit yourself pretty heavily, and there's a decent amount of farms. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 farm spots if you're decent, and then there's a 6 if you're very good. Mine, super long. I think there's better strategies, and the bends aren't the best, but they're fine, so you could play it if you want. Park is a yes. Temple, I would say yes, but be careful because typically the tack spots are at the top, like first bend, where the AI Bloons and the Scent Bloons meet, and also at the last bend before it turns into, not before the exit, but the base of the temple, basically. Underneath the arrows, the blue arrows there, I would say. Yin Yang, no, because there's no bends. Hydro, no, there's no good wizard in tack placement. This is fine. I would say yes to this. Basically, anything on Battle Park works. So if you want to, go ahead. Same for Battle River. A lot of strategies can work on this map. Sands is also very good for tack farm wizard, as the bends are super nice. And also your wizard can hit the top and bottom lanes pretty easily if you place it into the middle. YBR, it's going to be iffy because it's only 1 trip around. However, you're going to be able to get like most of the blades to hit while also defending with a Ring of Fire in the back or a Dragon's Breath. Swamp is very good, very nice bends in the center, and your Dragon's Breath has pretty easy defense from the outer areas. Patch is a yes. It allows you to defend with bends while farming, and you also get Dragon's Breath. This is also good. Hazard is a no. I would say, well, it's very iffy for like anything higher than Ceramic Crucible. If you're in Ceramic Crucible or below, I would say it's fine, but be very careful because your tack shooters are not going to have a fun time on those very wide bends. Interpools is a no. A game. Same idea as, I guess, Water Hazard. It's not going to be great at the higher levels, but lower levels it should be fine because the bends are going to be fine in the center against the simple ones. However, AI Bloons are going to be a major pain, and you're probably going to have to defend those with Dragon's Breath or Lightning. Icefall is a no, but also a yes if you don't have anything better to go. But if you have better stuff, I recommend a boat or a submarine strategy that is Eco. Offside is a yes, it's viable. Snowy Castle is a yes. Interchange is a definite yes. Interchange is one of those maps with so many bends that tack is very, very nice on it. And it's also pretty good for like Lightning and Phoenix because of Pierce. Cali is fine. It's a long map and there's better strategies, but it is fine to run here. Swan is a no. This is definitely a boat map, not a tack wizard. or a wizard map. Mondrian is fine. Bloons Circle is also fine. However, there are better late game strategies. Inkblot is a no. This map is way too short, and it's usually a aggressive map, so I don't recommend it here. Although it is an aggressive strategy, it is not built for this map. Blast, if you're in boss arenas, there's better strategies to run the Tack Wiz here. Brunarius, also same idea. Dreadballoon, you can run Tack Wiz if you want. You're not going to win too many games, but you're going to get at least consistent games. And Vortex, you don't have any choice for that. Hot Tub, no. Zen, no. And here we are. We're back to the start with inlets. That is my coverage for this episode. If you have any worries or questions about Tack Farm Wizard, just drop it in the comment and I will reply with whatever I know, okay? Thank you, and stay tuned for future installments. If you have a suggestion for a strategy, just let me know. Thank you guys for watching, and peace out.